Hey guys, glad you're here. Welcome back. If you're back, if you're new, hope you enjoy what you hear. Today, the video I'm going to talk about walking into strength. I'm 66 years old, and I'm going to get into how walking really changed my life. I didn't walk into a gym, I walked into the woods. And that's actually where everything changed. I had been to gyms for many years, but there's a time when I walked into the woods hiking, and for people like us, walking isn't just cardio, it's like reconstruction we're doing on our body. You know, I started walking in the woods and hiking just because I had read about it and I wanted to try it. I had walked on treadmills and walked inside, stuff like that. But when I got out into the woods or the forest, everything changed, and I'm going to talk more about that. If you like the video, give it a like. If you're new here, I hope you subscribe. But I'm going to talk a little bit about the problem. Most men over 50, they feel slower, weaker, got that mental fog, disconnected from their bodies, and they're stuck inside their house and stuck inside their head. I see a lot of men over 50 that are stuck inside their head. They tell us, take pills for it, take pills for this, take pills for that, all kind of expensive things. But the truth is, you just need to start walking outside. 99% of my walks now are outside. I may do a little 5-minute to 10-minute walk to warm up in the gym on a treadmill, but I don't even do that every day. My walking, of course, comes after the gym, where I take a break, get my protein smoothie. I've got 3 or 4 different places I walk. It takes 10 to 15 minutes to drive to them, and I drive to them and I walk. Unfortunately, well, most of them are actually by the river, and they are trails, so it's nice. But the real walking, where the real reconstruction takes place, is when you get out in the mountains or in the forest, and you're kind of alone. You'll pass a few people here and there, and sometimes the trail may be crowded, but that's where the magic really happens. Because nature kind of strips away the noise, the stress, stimulation, all that. You build focus, you build clarity, and you build patience. Those 3 things. You build focus, patience, and clarity. It forces you to breathe, move, and observe. Breathe more and observe, and move. And I'm really observant when I'm walking in the mountains, because there's lots of bears now, things like that. Last year I hiked the Highline Trail. I went to 12 or 13 national parks and monuments, and I hiked the Highline Trail in Glacier National Park, and it's that cliff, and I'm not a height person. I don't like heights. It's that cliff, and that cliff's probably a 1/4-mile walk across it. And you got the mountain, you got 3, 4, 5 feet of space, depending, and if you go over the cliff, you're gone. And one person did die last year, from what I understand. Well, anyway, there's a guy who met a bear. I think it was a grizzly. While he was walking across the cliff, the bear's coming the other way. I don't know what he was doing. He must not have been a very observant, because I thought about that, and I'm thinking about that cliff in my mind, and I'm like, most of it was straight. It might have been 1 or 2 little bends, but when I'm walking, I'm always looking hundreds of yards ahead of me. I look down, every few steps, and especially in rocky areas and stuff, but I want to see what's out in front of me. Just like when I'm driving, I don't focus on the car in front of me. I'm looking hundreds of yards out, seeing people hitting their tail lights and stuff. But I'm thinking, how did he meet this bear? Because the way he talks about it, he looks up and there's the bear, and he some places you can back up, some places, because the cliff wall is kind of jagged, and you can get back against the wall and let people go by coming from the other direction to have more room. And he said he put himself against the wall, and the bear walked on by him. He stayed perfectly still, and luckily the bear just walked on by him. But you have to be observant. And when you're into woods hiking, or you're in the mountains hiking, or desert, or anywhere, I think those observation skills, you really focus on them. At least I do. And I would think that most people did. Now, maybe he met that bear coming around the curve. My biggest fear in like the Smoky Mountains or something hiking is going around a curve and there's a black bear. These black bears don't normally bother you, but she's with her cubs. So when I find I generally have some pebbles in my pocket or something. If I'm going around a curve, I may start whistling, something like that. I've even turned my phone on before to some music or something, just to get some noise, or I'll throw the pebbles or something into the woods, hit some trees or something. I just do stuff like that because I don't want to get between mama and her cubs, because that's when an encounter with a black bear can go from being nice to being bad. But being out there, forces you to breathe, like I said, observe and move. Walking outside is totally different than walking inside. It recalibrates you. You can reset yourself when you're walking outside. I wish that I had more trails in the woods around here, but I've got the 3 or 4 places. Then I've got the park where I walk, which is woods around it, but I mean, there's ball fields there and there's other people walking, but it's not exactly the same, but it is in a way. So how walking helped fix my body? And it helped fix your body. It's low impact, it's sustainable, and you can do it consistently. You can walk every day. You can walk twice a day if you want to, which I've done that many a time. It's easy to keep doing it. It's good on the joints. It's low impact, helps you drop weight. Definitely help you drop weight if you stick with it and you build up the time that you're walking. Get more steps, as I say. Clears out inflammation. We know that walking clears out inflammation in your body, strengthens your joints, your leg, your joints. Big thing, as we age, walking out there on unlevel ground improves your mobility. And we all know about mobility as we age. It improves your stamina, it improves your sleep. If you don't think it, try it. If you have problems sleeping, try walking a little more. It's not just about getting out and doing cardio. It's like you're training for life. What it helps you do is it'll help you crush your excuses. You have a lot of time to think when you're out there walking. A lot of time, especially if you're up in the mountains or somewhere in the woods, you're away from everybody. Or even just on a regular trail, even on the beach, even though it can be kind of noisy on the beach sometimes, but it really helps you think about some things and some of the excuses you make. Walking now, they know, or getting out in nature, they tell people with PTSD to get out in nature and move. They tell, military people and, even people in civilian life to get PTSD from wrecks or things. I have PTSD. It's not a bad one, but I suffered from anxiety, and this would happen only for like 6 months when I came back from my 2 tours in Iraq. Wake up in the middle of the night and couldn't breathe, and I had to get up and walk down the hallway and catch my breath, and then I'd be all right. I think they call it delayed onset syndrome or something. Well, this is crazy. I found out something last night. Me and my best friend went to eat some steak, and we're talking, and I told him, and he said, I have that now. I'm like, what? He's never been in the military or anything. He said, yeah, I have anxiety attacks now. I'm like, wow. 2 days ago, I go to get my smoothie. The manager of the smoothie place, I noticed she had a band like in the hospital. I said, were you in the hospital or something? She said, yeah, I had to go overnight. She said, I suffer from real bad anxiety. She's like 27. I'm like, wow. She said, yeah, because stuff happened in my past life. I have to go to the hospital every now and then. I suffer from it so bad. I'm like, wow. Well, there was a guy that was former military. I think he was a Marine. He got out. He was in his late 20s or something. Bad PTSD. He saw a video about some veterans, or they may have showed him this when he went to, some of his doctor visits, whatever, about people veterans hiking on trails, getting out in nature. And he read about these guys hiking the Appalachian Trail that were military. And he started watching videos about it. He wanted to do, he had bad PTSD, he said, and he lived in Missouri, I believe, and from the day he first read about it, heard about it, veterans on the Appalachian Trail, 1 week later he showed up. Now this is a guy, he didn't have any experience hiking. He had been in the military, but didn't have any hiking experience. And of course, you hiking the Appalachian Trail, it takes the average person 5 to 6 months to finish. It's over 1,800 miles. You got to have all this equipment. You got to have some money because you got to take breaks and you got to constantly be buying food and stuff. He hiked the entire Appalachian Trail over 1,800 miles. He just started slow and kept going. And his body adjusted and got used to the hills and stuff. And he said it's the most life-changing experience. His PTSD was like, he said, like, it was unbelievable. That cured his PTSD, or didn't, maybe not have cured it, but really helped his PTSD. It gives you space to think clearly when you're out there. You will think clearly, believe me, when you're out in the forest or in the mountains somewhere walking. It breaks cycles of anxiety and overthinking. That's what this girl who was the manager at the smoothie joint told me. She said, I overthink things. She said, I have all of these things going through my mind, and I guess a lot of them are problems, all of these, and she's concentrating on them so hard that it creates the anxiety. And I told her, I said, well, you need to get out and start walking. I told her. And she said, yeah, I know. She said, I need to go to the gym and walk. She said, I'm so busy around here, I just can't do it. I said, there's things more important than this place here, a business. You need to get out and start moving, doing stuff. It gives you time to process your life. Believe me, when you're hiking 4, 5, 6 hours a day, 8 hours a day, you're going to think about your life, the past. You're going to think about the future, aging. You're going to think about all kind of problems going to go through your mind. It's amazing the answers you come up with. I talk about this, come up with answers when I'm out walking sometime. It helps reduce anger, frustration, and brain fog. I think that's one of the things with the guys with PTSD. There's a lot of anger and frustration in there, and that's where it helps. Walking out in nature, walking through the trees. I love waterfalls and rivers. A lot of my hikes are just because I go to places to find waterfalls that I've never seen, and I just hike to the waterfalls. I think that really, you come out stronger when you do that. It really clears your mind. Fast doesn't mean you're fit. You don't have to hike fast. You don't have to walk fast. You don't have to do that. Slow is kind of the new strong. I read that somewhere. I remember reading an article or something about that. Because you get strong by slowing down your movement, thinking, your decisions, all of that. You get stronger when you're out hiking or walking. Hiking/walking. You go for a walk. I consider a walk something you do around your house somewhere. Hiking, go out in the woods, the forest. You go on a vacation to the mountains, or like I do, I go up for 2 or 3, 4 days and just hike to different waterfalls, hike a portion of some trails, stuff like that. Men over 50, we need less grind, more deliberate movement. We need less worrying about all of these different things and everyday life grind. Get out and get some movement. Get that good, deliberate movement. It's just really good for you. Myself, y'all know I walk every day. Rain, sleet, snow, or shine. I walk in all of it. Unless it's absolutely torrential downpour, then I will walk on a treadmill and walk in the house and things like that. But we've had a lot of rain in the last couple of weeks, and I've walked in the rain. Because it's warm enough to walk in the rain, and I got a rain jacket or something like that I put on, and I do my walk. Walking rain doesn't help me. When I first started losing the weight, that's when it was cold, and I talked about I hiked in the snow. I didn't care. When I first made that decision to lose the weight, I started walking in the ice and snow. It's really good when you combine it with strength training, whether it's I do mine. I go to the gym first. Like as soon as I get through with this, I'll be heading to the gym. Then I'll get my smoothie. I've had no breakfast. I'm kind of, after I ate that steak last night, I'm doing my little I'm not going to eat for another 4 hours or so, probably 4 or 5 hours before I eat, but I will have a smoothie after I work out. But combine it with strength training, get the best of both worlds, the walking and the strength training. You don't need gear. You can just need, I would get decent shoes. I got some brand new shoes. I went on a hike in the mountain a year ago and I got really bad plantar fasciitis because going down a steep trail and it's rocky. And I tried all these stretching exercises and nothing worked. And then I found out about the shoes, the right type of shoes, the Ultras. And I just bought me a brand new pair. I hadn't even tried them on. I wore these others out hiking. Man, they are so comfortable. And I'm going to show you the shoes that I use, because if you suffer from plantar fasciitis, ankle problem, stuff like that, Achilles problem, tendons, hey, these shoes are really good. And I'm going to do a video on those shoes. Yep, I might do that tomorrow. But you know, when I'm out there walking, I kind of think like the gym is my ground, or this ground is my gym. You know, I've got the gym where I lift weights, and then I've got the gym where I'm outside just walking and you know, listening to things. Walking with a purpose. You get a lot of strength from that. You know, you can use these walks, like I said, you get all these ideas. When I was in Mexico training clients, I had tons, I'd be walking on the beach, and most of my walks were on the beach or around town and stuff. I'd think about my clients and what I can do to help them and the problems that they were having and different things and how to get more clients. So you get a lot of clarity and coaching direction from being out there, you know, and just hiking and walking. You know, like you could say, nature's not a break, it's kind of a strategy room if you've got a business, because you'll be surprised what comes to your mind. I'm not getting out there, I wasn't getting out there to escape, I was getting out there to kind of realign, and I like my walks then because a lot of the issues I was having with clients and stuff, trying to get them to do stuff, just get them to do stuff, and I'd come up with different ideas while I was out there walking. Walking's not a warm-up. Most men don't understand this. Yeah, I do a little walk for a warm-up before but that's not, you know, real walking. Real walking's really getting out there in 30, 45 minutes, hour, 2 or 3 hour hikes, stuff like that. You know, it's not just about being a warm-up for your weight session. It's not, nature's not a luxury necessarily. It's sort of like a luxury to me though, but you know, it's something I love to do. And stillness and movement equals strength. When I'm hiking in the mountains or on the river, I take breaks, I stop. I don't have to keep moving. I'll stop, sit on a rock for 5-10 minutes, take breaks, look at the river, observe what's going on around me. You know, so walking is simple. Don't wait until you're completely broken up here and your body's broken to start walking. Get out now and start walking before you're forced to crawl. Start with one walk. Don't time it. If you're a person that hadn't walked in months or years or anything, don't time it. Don't worry about how far you're going. Don't track it. Just get outside, do a walk outside, and listen what's going on around you. If you can find, most cities now have built trails close by. Just about every city. In Puebla, Mexico, it's unbelievable. They got a trail that's like 22 miles. You can start at different points, of course. It just goes all through woods and through the city and all different places. But what's your favorite place to walk? Do you have a favorite place to walk? If you do, put it in the comments, a place you kind of walk and reset. You know, let me know where it's at. And if you like the video, like it, subscribe to the channel if you're new. And I'm going to have more videos like this. I'm doing about 5 a week. I'll talk to you later.